Barbarian. It instant grapples things. Hey DM, how far can I throw the mimic? Ranged grapple is nice. Artificer. Can I weaponize the mimic further? Fighter. It can shapeshift into objects, right? What about vehicles? How big? Nah. Hey alrighty, SkyDieRay here, and I will finally be destroying the sky. I'm so glad to say that. It's been a long time coming, we've been all waiting for that, and it's gonna happen. Anyway, how are you guys doing? Hope you're having a wonderful day today. Before jumping into the video, I wanna quickly kindly ask you if you're not yet subscribed to the channel to consider doing so now. It only takes a moment, you can undo it later if you want. And yeah, that time our wizard made the guard kill his friend and himself. Okay, yeah, no, awesome, that's, we're off to a great start. Bimi, Hotar. Son of Hagar, proud dragonborn barbarian. Party has Sackhat, elf wizard, friendliest motherfucker around. Infiltrating a doomsday cult's complex to steal a powerful sword. 2 guards standing at the door of an underground tunnel. Beefy and threatening as fuck, and faces full of religious scar tattoos and piercing with great axes in hand. Tactical retreat.jpg. Hiding behind a wall. Sackhat points a finger at the left guard and starts mumbling in Abyssal. We didn't even know Sackhat is fluent in Abyssal. Guard looks shocked and his eyes light up. Suddenly, turns around and fucking butchers his friend next to him and doesn't stop swinging until the corpse is unrecognizable. Sackhat starts mumbling again and the guard drives the axe into his own head. At this point, the whole party is shocked. What the f***, Sackhat? Oh, it's simple. I used message to tell him that the guard next to him is an enemy of the great plan and that he's guaranteed a place next to his god if he kills both him and then himself. The whole party is afraid of the Sackhat for the rest of the mission. Toothless the Mimic. Bimi, DM, pin at me, work client. Gives a big bottle of whiskey as a gift. Pog that chump. Tell the players that there will be liquor for the next session. Cheers all around. Get to the session and one player also brings Cuban rum. Things get goofy quickly. The session is coming to an end. Goblins got massacred except for Shroomy, but that's a different tale. Party hits level 3. Roll for a roadside encounter en route to the main city of the campaign. Dipshit guy standing next to a locked treasure chest. Help me open and we can share. It's a mimic. Original. Except I was drunk. Players get to the chest and the cleric, of all people, tries to unlock it. I open the mimic stat block. In my stupor, I decided there's too many words to go through and I wing the encounter. The mimic bites the cleric's arm, but no damage is done. The mimic has no teeth. It asks you with a lisp to help it find new teeth. I say this with a lisp. The cleric immediately falls in love. I'ma name you Toothless. Toothless transforms into a bowl or some shit so he can travel with the cleric. Immediately forget about Toothless in this encounter 5 minutes later. Drunk. Getting ready for tomorrow's session. Players are discussing what they're gonna do. They decide to go after gnoll riders in the area. Excellent. I'm prepared for this. Cleric asks in the group chat. Will gnoll thief work for Toothless? Immediately begin to respond. What the fuck is And then remember. They have a mimic friend who has no teeth. The mimic friend is also intelligent enough to think, reason, and communicate in common. They named it Toothless. I look up the mimic stat block again. Adhesive. The mimic adheres to anything that touches it. A huge or smaller creature adhered to the mimic is also grappled by it. It instant grapples things? Barbarian. It instant grapples things. Hey DM, how far can I throw the mimic? Ranged grapple is nice. Artificer. Can I weaponize the mimic further? Fighter. It can shapeshift into objects, right? What about vehicles? How big? Nah. No, that one is a bit too far. And now, having to deal with the implications of a party-aligned, intelligent, toothless mimic. The players are legitimately foaming at the mouth in excitement at the possibilities. Help. The cry for help at the end just makes this so much better. Role-playing squared, or how our bard made us his troop to save us from agonizing death. Bimi, playing the good old rogue in Pathfinder 1st edition. Binatmi, the bard. Attorney Summoner with Devil Eidolon, Unpredictable Inquisitor, newbie first time playing TTRPG, Drunk Magus, an Eldritch Archer, and DM NPC Magus, Spelldancer. Emphasis put on the bard, for there may be many bards, but this is one of a kind. It's our party's very first campaign in this setting and system, homebrewed by our DM who is a veteran of it. All of our characters are on level 4. We are deep in the dungeon, which is a mix of a stronghold, a prison and a temple. we are mostly out of spell slots and half of the party is low on health. On top of that, the Bard is almost out of cards. Wait, wrong name. The Bard is almost out of bardic performances. Suddenly, halfway through our session, few of our characters hear distant shrieks. Most of the party insists on pressing on to save 2 NPCs who we can hear screaming in pain. We reach the lair of the dungeon's big bad evil guy. It's a Drider, surrounded by about 8 giant spiders. Oh god, oh that MP4. He welcomed us, like a lord welcomes guests to his humble abode, but more as soon to be food for his children. Panic.x. We are so done, that MP4. In this darkest hour, our Bard decides to go out for a limb. Some context on why our Bard is the Bard. He has a homebrewed set of magic items for winning a battle royale on session 0. That was meant to show us basics of the system. This set consists of a pair of magical cat ears and a cat tail merged with his body, turning him into a half-elf cat boy. Surprisingly enough, it's more adorable than usually annoyingly weeb stuff. Also, the said set of items increases his dex and charisma by quite a lot, but at the same time, for reasons unknown, he's magically forbidden to speak. No one in the party knows how exactly all of the above works. Back to the story. The Bard makes a few steps ahead, looking straight into the evil's eyes as friendly and politely as he can. Then, our mute Bard wants to roll on diplomacy to convince the big bad evil guy, using only his music and body language, that he is indeed a traveling troubadour, greeting the almighty lord of this dungeon and being honored by standing in the big bad evil guy's presence. Time stops, and then the DM says the immortal quote. I'll allow it. Bard rolls 35 and then proceeds to play a music suitable for a royal court, as the big bad evil guy keeps shortening the distance between himself and our party. Glorious success, that Helltaker. Turns out this performance landed a critical hit on the big bad evil guy's ego. The DM narrates. You begin to play a beautiful and regal melody. The Drider stops and listens. He smiles and says, "Oh, you have a taste for art. I will keep you as my troubadour while the blood of others feeds my children." The Bard immediately starts to gesticulate that the rest of us are, in fact, his bardic troupe and he needs us definitely more alive than dead. Me, the rogue, backs him up. He tries to say he needs us. The Drider. Oh, so you are speaking for him? Again me, the rogue, understanding the Bard roughly 60% of the time. Yes, fine then. So you may be worthy of mercy, but what about the others? DM NPC, a female elf, and to this point the most ballsy character, currently all pale as chalk from fear, decides to step up. I am a dancer. The Bard also gesticulates and hums, convincing the big bad evil guy that she's also a singer. Super important NPC for the party, for reasons to talk about another time, so she can have double the chance to stay alive. The Eldritch Archer with -2 to charisma and second debuff on top of that, permanently drunk as a skunk, and this lad failed 4 tries to get sober, one being a divine intervention from saying God's shrines from a mini-boss, and another being looking death straight into the eyes. Burp, I'm a jester. The Inquisitor explains that he's a stage prop guy, and the Summoner is crouching silent and still. Most curious, the big bad guy comments all of that, and then reaches towards the Bard. Proceeds to pet him with a hand bigger than the half-elf's head. I kid you not, none of your GFs could ever roleplay a fawning cat-like person as good as his player. As a wise man once said, sometimes it takes a real man to become the best girl. Meanwhile, one of the spiders starts to sniff on Eldritch Archer. The Drider comments that he smells unusual. It has to do with the Archer's race, a sylph. The Eldritch Archer, quite surprised, answers, "You have a shared sense of smell?" The Drider is very displeased by this foul language. The Bard hisses shortly and immediately, knowing that the charade we've been building up to this point is on the verge of crumbling to pieces. Cat no banana, that MP4. Reacting to that, I slap the Archer in the face to put his subordinate in place. The DM. Okay, roll on how strong you slapped him. Roll max damage. Domestic violence for the win. The Inquisitor is forcing the Archer to bow down via grabbing him by the neck. Surprisingly, the Archer succeeds on ref saving throw not to fall flat like a true clown. The Drider calms down, amused and satisfied that the Bard knows the regal etiquette. Petting continues that wav. Another spider sniffs on the Summoner. Drider. Oh, you smell familiar. It's been a long time since I felt this unforgettable, pretty scent. Where do you come from? The Summoner, playing feared for most of the session, suddenly bursts out with all kind of regal and polite speech, talking vividly about his backstory and the country. Japanese like one, but oddly enough, he and the bard have nothing in common. Everyone at the table is impressed. For most of the session, the summoner wasn't performing that much. Even the Drider is impressed and regards those regions fondly, as well as the companionship of the summoner. After a few moments of purring and fawning, the petting ends and the Drider pulls his hand back. The bard then points to the two men that we came here to save, currently still tied by the spider's web, and gestures the request to the big bad evil guy to give them back. The Drider asks the bard what they are needed for. The bard's player, for a lack of a more concrete idea, tries to pantomime many various important sounding reasons all at once. One deception check later, the Drider agrees. So what will you perform for me in return? Alright folks, the bard's player says, it's now or never, so stick with me. We're in the endgame now, setting actors on the stage. The bard starts playing music in Japanese style, setting up a tone for the upcoming play. The DM NPC, along with her two mirror images, starts dancing to the melody. The summoner casts his guy's self on himself to look like the samurai, a protagonist of the story. I cover myself as a bandit, playing the antagonist of the play. The Inquisitor and the Eldritch Archer with the lowest charisma in the party are asked to take care of the wounded and be like potato beetles. Keep quiet, stay out of trouble, and eat cucumbers. Because we had no potatoes. Role-playing squared, basically. We need to go deeper. Bear in mind that all of this and all of to come are completely unprepared improvisation, where everyone is losing their minds on how both awesome and crazy the soul is. The Summoner's Devil, or dare I say, Advocate's Devil, in his deep sexy bass voice, proceeds to narrate the play. This is the story of a brave samurai, Yakuta Karaki, who was stripped of his status and forced into the life of a ronin, traveling to regain his honor. His quest has led him to a burning tower, but on every step of his journey, he's tormented by his lethal enemy, Tsengu. Was it revenge that brought Tsengu to devote his life to fighting Yakuta Karaki? Was it stolen love? Something else? We will never know, but they faced each other one last time upon the burning tower. This day, bloodshed was all but avoidable. The summoner. Ha! Tsenku, I finally found you. Today your life of crime will come to an end. The rogue. Huh, naive Ronin. You think you are always an advantage, but your recklessness has led you straight into my trap. There will be no honor in your death, only shame and void. Meanwhile, the bard comes up with what kind of dynamic music he plays in every act, and the DM plays the DM NPC to come up with choreography. DM. Okay all, roll for your performances. 2 skills please. Everyone rolls over 20 on their checks so far. The myself rolls a natural 1 on performance. DM NPC rolls a natural 1 on performance. Everyone agrees that that's a certified bra moment. DM is excited to the limit about how this session is unfolding. Yeah, screw that, we are re-rolling those rolls. We succeed in our checks. Hell yeah, we're back in the game, baby. Meanwhile, the Inquisitor and Drunk Magus ask to identify the big bad evil guy stats. They succeeded, but the test was hard, so the DM tells them that they can ask for one aspect each. Magus asks for the big bad evil guy's level, Inquisitor for his buffs, and the DM tells the big bad evil guy's level is 12, then proceeds to list the buffs that he has on him, which are basically a lot. Everyone realizes how screwed we are if we mess this up, and the tension's high as a junkie. On the side, I'm starting to roll a new character and say farewell to my rogue just in case. Back to the play. Summon Devil still in deep bass. And so the battle began, but with each dealt blow it was more clear that Senku was in advantage. All hope seemed to be lost when he dealt a swift and unexpected blow into the chest of Yakuta Karaki. The eye broke to the DM. Look, I know this is not how the trait works, but can I take advantage of the fact that I have Careful Stabber and stab him in a harmless way? The DM having way too much fun to hold us back at this point. I'll allow it. Roll attack. Happy rogue noises that MP3. The eye rogue, stepping on the foot of the summoner. Huh, this shoe was poisoned. Shoes have a longer story in our campaign than I am willing to admit. I then proceed to roleplay an unexpected attack, using the fact that both the summoner and his player are shocked by this plot twist, along with everyone at the table to be precise. Proceeds to roll attack, proceeds to hit, and proceeds to roll max damage. Actually not that much, but for the roll of cool, a lot of blood comes from the summoner, high-pressured stream in a true samurai movie fashion. Akira Kurosawa would be proud. Wait, the stab was supposed to be harmless. Who cares? Show must go on. Queen, the summoner. You sure have a lot of tricks, Tsenku, but you are not the only one. The summoner faints, tearing his cape while casting another disguised self, pretending to be Kitsune race. This is the best anime of 2022. The summoner casts Will-O-Wisp on his sword for extra drama and show. He then attacks the rogue, but misses the roll. In the play, however, he misses, quote unquote, yet confidently and carefully hides his blade in the sheath. I, the rogue, dodging backwards. Seconds later, I drop my sword and then reach to the invisible but lethal wound. Impossible! Falls on his knees and says, "Not like this!" Falls on his face. The summoner also falls shortly after his victorious monologue. The summoned devil still in deep base. And so, upon the burning tower, two lethal enemies have ended their struggle. Their blades remained there, impaled into the ground, as a silent memento of this day. If there is another life, would they wish to meet again and clash their swords one more time? DM exhilarated, clapping to all of us. Okay folks, everyone roll on performance. Everyone collectively passes. The Drider clapping. Wonderful, truly majestic. From now on, you will stay by my side, telling me stories from a far world. The NPCs we asked for, that were healed by Inquisitor and Eldritch Archer the whole time, tell us that the Drider will never set us free, and proceeds to sacrifice themselves to let us escape. The party proceeds to run for our lives. The Bard bows down before the Drider like a true artist after a performance before running for his life. We had survived the unbeatable encounter that was supposed to teach us that not every fight will be winnable, and then we had a section with running away from the Drider after improv theatrical performance. We agree that this was the best session ever. Jesus Christ, that was a hell of a roller coaster. That was a glorious roller coaster, and that was really great improvisation, to be honest, if none of that was planned. Alright, on that note, that's gonna be it for today's video, so thank you so much for watching, I hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to leave a like if you did and subscribe for more if you haven't already. Also, thank you to everyone supporting the channel on Patreon as well as here on YouTube. I appreciate it a lot, so thank you so much for that. Links below if you wanna check those out, as well as links to the social media, Discord server, Subreddit, emails. And yeah, that's it. Thanks again for watching. I'll see you next time. Have a great day. Bye.